Joliet Memorial Stadium for tonight's Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference matchup between the Crimson Wave of Calumet College of St. Joseph and your St. Francis Fighting Saints. At this time, we ask that you please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America with the flag of our nation. Number 4, Cesar Madrid. Number 5, Alan Trey. Number 6, Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero. Number 8, Hernan Medina. Number 10, Ricardo Pinto. Number 11, Nigel Jose Osara. Number 19, Israel Bautista. Number 22, Colton Sullivan. Number 23, Felipe Poblete. Number 28, Jose Hernandez. And in goal for the Crimson Wave, wearing number 1, Eduardo Canuto. The Crimson Wave are coached by Shane Cloutier. And now the starting lineup for your Fighting Saints. First up, number 4, Piero Regenhusen. Number 10, Bruno Silva. Number 16, Sergio Fernandez Alongo. Number 17, Jonathan Mendez. Number 18, Jack Brown. Number 21, Roger Valles. Number 22, Benicio Gambino. Number 27, Antoine Esparza. Number 36, Dylan Frank. Number 38, Austin Tillison. And in goal for the Fighting Saints, wearing number 1, Merlin Vanderveen. Your Fighting Saints are coached by Nigel Tiller.
Good evening from Joliet Memorial Stadium in Joliet, Illinois, the home of the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints, who today take on Calumet College of St. Joseph in a CCAC soccer matchup. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's broadcast as the Fighting Saints try to pick up their first victory of the year. Calumet is looking to do the same thing. They come in with an overall record of 0-9. They have lost their first 2 conference matches. St. Francis also 0-2 in conference play. They have no wins, 6 losses, one tie overall this year. Both teams are on the field, ready to get this game started. The Saints are in gold on the right side of your screen. They'll be playing from right to left and shooting into the north goal to start today's game. Calumet takes the opening kick. The Crimson Wave are in black and crimson, going from left to right. They'll be shooting into the south goal to start today's game, and their first ball goes past the south goal and out of bounds. We'll have a goal kick right off the bat from the Fighting Saints. St. Francis coming off of a loss this weekend against Olivet Nazarene, trying to bounce back today against a team that they dominated and have dominated pretty consistently over the years. They have not lost to the Crimson Wave since 2016, and last year picked up the biggest victory in school history against Calumet. 17-1 was the final score that day. Fighting Saints are in control of the ball right now, and that's been an issue for Calumet throughout this year. They have a hard time taking possession, and we'll see if the Saints can take advantage of that today as they make a move towards the near sideline. Benicio Gamino takes it down into the corner, looking for help on the cross. There it is, towards the back post, and knocked away by the Calumet defense. Looking at the starters for today's match for the Fighting Saints, it's Pierre Langenhusen anchoring the defense, along with Bruno Silva, Sergio Fernandez Arango. Saints make a move into the box. There's a shot deflected out of bounds. We'll get a corner kick. Jonathan Mendez, Jack Brown, Roger Valles, Benicio Gamino, Antoine Esparza, Dylan Frank, and Austin Delazay are the rest of the starters, along with their goalkeeper Merlin Vanderveen. Get just some numbers on him in a moment. First, the ball is set for the corner kick. From the far side of the field, the ball curls in front of the net and is headed out of bounds along the near post. Missed opportunity for St. Francis, and it sets up a goal kick for Calumet. The starters for the Crimson Wave today and their first-year head coach, Shane Cloutier, include Cesar Madriz, Alan Trejo, Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero, Hernan Medina, Ricardo Pinto, Nigel Osiasari, Israel Batista, Colton Sullivan, Felipe Poblete, and Jose Hernandez. Their goalkeeper, junior out of Brazil, is Eduardo Canuto. Canuto has started every game in net this year for Calumet, all 10 of them, including tonight. He's allowed 51 goals this year and made 94 saves. Dylan Frank passes it off to Bruno Silva as the Saints keep it far from the net right now, moving right to left. And it's knocked away by the defense of Calumet. A solid challenge from them as they're able to claim possession 3 minutes into today's game with no score on the board just yet. For Eduardo Canuto, the save percentage is .648. 0-9 is his record in net. He's one of 3 men who has played in net this year for Calumet. But as I said before, he has started every game. Both Sam Sullivan and Alejandro Diaz have seen a little bit of action in relief in various games. Merlin Vanderveen is the starter for St. Francis today. He and Elio De Janeiro have pretty much split time. This is the 5th game played this year for Vanderveen. He's allowed 13 goals. He's made 19 saves, a .594 percentage. He's allowed an average of 4.5 goals per game. He got the start on Saturday. He allowed 7 goals. Played about 80 minutes out of the 90 in the game. Ball is deflected into the box for St. Francis, but cleared by Calumet. Saints will try it again from the outside. Langenhusen steps up, sends it into the box, knocked away, and headed out of the danger zone by Calumet. The Saints get the ball back. They'll take another chance. Sergio Fernandez Arango makes his way towards the corner, takes the shot with the left foot, and it is deflected and easily scooped up by the goalkeeper, Canuto. Still no score. 40 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the first half, so we're only 4.5 minutes into the game. Vanderveen allowed 7 goals in his nearly 80 minutes played on Saturday. It's deflected towards the back line and kept in bounds Good play by Eduardo Canuto. It wasn't a save. The ball was going to be wide of the net, but it did hit off of Calumet last, so it would have been a corner kick if he hadn't scooped it up. After Van der Veen left on Saturday, Elio De Janeiro did come in for the final 10 minutes or so. He allowed one goal as well. St. Francis dropped that one 8-0. Their third consecutive shutout loss. So today, they're looking for their first goal since September the 6th. Pushed down the far sideline where it's intercepted by Calumet. Saints fighting to get the ball back. It is claimed, though, by Jose Hernandez. Crimson Wave stay in possession, knocked out of bounds by Langenhusen. And a foul is called on Calumet. So a quick free kick for St. Francis. They send it back to the defense. Very deliberate attack so far for the Fighting Saints. No rush on it. Benicio Gamino passes it all the way back to the goalkeeper. Van der Veen well outside the net, up near the 40-yard line on the football field. Wrestled away by the Calumet defense. Here's Hernan Medina working it ahead. Intercepted by the Saints. Ball was lost for a second there by Jonathan Mendez. He's not able to pull in the pass. Possession won again by the Crimson Wave. O.C. Asari sets this one up all the way down into the corner. Knocked towards the middle of the field by the Saints. Nobody there wearing black. So an easy job for the Saints to clear it. And they do so down the near sideline. Benicio Gamino dribbles it up to midfield, passes ahead. Here's a run from Mendez. Mendez outruns one defender, trying to get past another one, takes his shot, and Canuto's able to make a save. Good defense from Ricardo Pinto. Pinto was the second defender on that play. Mendez blew right past the first one, Jose Hernandez. But once Pinto got into the picture, there was no chance for Mendez to get a clean shot at the net. And so it turns into a save for Eduardo Canuto. And we remain scoreless, approaching 37.5 minutes to play in the first half. Saints looking for the cross, don't have it. Passed back close to midfield. Here's Sergio Fernandez Arango pushing it straight through to the edge of the box. Tapped off. Nice fake from Fernandez Arango, but he's not able to finish off the play and get a shot off. Defense steps up again for the Crimson Wave. They're going to have to do it one more time. That pass from Benicio Gamino sails by everybody. Out of bounds on the far sideline near the corner. A throw-in for the Crimson Wave. Roger Valles sets up the offense this time for the Fighting Saints. Delazé gives it up to Dylan Frank. Frank skips past one defender, gets the ball to Gamino. Gamino in some space, pulls out, takes the shot. It's deflected before it can reach the net. And now a fight for possession along the back line. Kept in bounds by the Fighting Saints, but knocked loose towards the sideline and now cleared by Calumet. Defense stepped up for the visitors. Saints will try it again as the ball does not clear midfield on the takeaway from Calumet. Gamino cuts towards the inside. Gamino takes a shot, and it's a little bit wide to the right. Out of bounds for a goal kick. Nice setup. Good-looking shot off the foot of Benicio Gamino. But pushed it a little bit too far to the right. The Saints are still looking for their first goal, as is Calumet. Throw in for St. Francis. They play it back to the defensive side. Fernandez Arango, lately a defender, passes it ahead. Here's Gamino on the run from Valles. Gamino centers it, deflected away, chasing it down on the back end. Saints keep it alive. There's a shot deflected and in. goal for St. Francis. It's Jonathan Mendez off a nice feed from the corner. And Mendez gets our scoring started today. 35 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the first half. So just under 10 minutes into the action. Fighting Saints have scored their first goal in a little over 3 weeks. That one's got to feel good getting off the schneid. Takes a little bit of pressure off going forward. For the Fighting Saints, that's the 4th goal scored this season. First one scored by Mendez this year. Came into play with 9 total shots, 3 of them on goal, which is among the best numbers on the Saints team. Pinto passes towards the near sideline. Brought in by Batista. Knocked loose and out of bounds. Calumet stays on the attack. Crimson Wave have not shown a lot of firepower this year. They have, however, scored 4 goals through their first 9 games. It's a significant step up from where they were last year. Deflected by the Saints defense, never let it get into the box, and now St. Francis is on the counterattack. Doesn't last very long. Easily taken away by the Crimson Wave. Long range shot, hits over the net and on the crossbar of the football goalposts. The shot came from Alan Trejo. One to nothing, Fighting Saints. They'll look to add to their lead. They've got the ball across midfield. Bruno Silva is fouled. Alan Trejo is the man who gave him a shove in the back. Far down the opposite sideline, taken away. Calumet makes their counter move, and they send it right into the middle of the field where there are a couple of Fighting Saints lying in wait. Easy takeaway there for St. Francis. Mendez rolls it off to the sideline. Still in bounds. Fernandez Arango steps up, passes across midfield. Nifty ball work from the junior Bruno Silva. Ball sent deep down the field. Benicio Gamino tracks it down, but he got a head start. Offsides is called. 1-0 St. Francis as we move just under 33 minutes remaining. First half at Joliet Memorial Stadium. Saints jumped on the scoreboard first. That's tough for a team like Calumet, which has not generated a lot of offense this year, only 4 goals total. It's so easy to fall into the trap. That's lifted well outside the bounds of play on the shot attempt from Hernan Medina. When you're struggling as a team, you can still come out fired up for every game, thinking this is the day it all turns around. And then when you give up an early goal, it all of a sudden feels like maybe this is not the day. We're going to turn it all around. Doesn't mean that it isn't the day. It just means I think mentally it's very difficult to adjust to being down despite playing some of your best soccer of the season so far. Rolled ahead into the box, pulled up, shot, and another goal. 2-0, Fighting Saints. Early in this match, the Fighting Saints have already taken a pretty commanding lead. Great start. First goal of the day was scored by Jonathan Mendez. I believe that one was Antoine Esparza who knocked it in. It makes it 2-0 in favor of the Saints. Not yet 14 minutes in. For Mendez, just about 4 minutes ago, it was the first goal of the season. For Antoine Esparza, it is also the first goal of the season, although he actually led the team coming into play today in both shots with 13 of them and shots on goal with 7. Now Calumet will have to show a little firepower if they want to come back, something they haven't done yet this year. There's a shot from the Crimson Wave, but it's too high and out of bounds. St. Francis has matched their season high in goals with 2 of them today. They fell 3-2 to Beloit College back on September 6th. That was the last time that they had scored, period, prior to this game. Twice already in the first half. In fact, twice in the first 15 minutes the Saints have found the scoreboard. Looking to make it 3 in a row. Not on this particular play. Knocked away by Calumet. And taken right back by the Saints as it ricochets out of bounds. Throw in for Calumet. Colton Sullivan tossed the ball in. Delazay was immediately there to take it back for the team in gold. Already 2 goals on the board. The Saints are trying to make another run. Rolled into the box, knocked off the foot of Mendez and cleared. Good defense by a pair of Crimson Wavers right there. Calumet's gotten a little bit of forward momentum today. A couple of times they've been able to get down into the attacking zone and take a few shots. They have not challenged Vanderveen yet. He hasn't had to make a save. But he's seen a few whiz past him, just a little bit high in most cases. This is a Calumet team that doesn't take a ton of shots. They've gotten about 5 of them per game. Shots on goal, they've averaged about 3 of them per game. So they've got to take advantage when they get those chances because they don't come around too often. Here's Esparza, who scored a goal earlier. Passing to Mendez, who also scored a goal earlier. Mendez not able to control it off the initial touch, though. Knocked off of his foot towards the goalkeeper. Calumet begins their counter strike. Along the sideline, kept in possession of Calumet. Fight for the ball down the side. Saints are able to get to it first, pass it back to the goalkeeper, and Vanderveen keeps it alive, giving it up to a defender. Jose Hernandez comes in and takes the ball away from Austin Delazay. Good positioning from Hernandez. The shot bounces in, though, and is easily picked up by Vanderveen. 27.5 minutes remain in the first half. 2-0. St. Francis has the big early lead. Looking for the through ball to Gamino. Doesn't have him. Didn't quite get through. Batista fighting with Gamino. Knocked off of Batista's foot by Dylan Frank, but Gamino gets it back. To the defensive line for the Fighting Saints. Jack Brown gave it up, started the run. That's Esparza, knocked off of his foot. Coming in to try to save the day is Gamino. Now it's Mendez passing back to Dylan Frank. Another deliberate possession by the Fighting Saints. especially now that they've got a 2-goal lead. There's certainly no need to hurry. Not that they're actively trying to waste time right now, but they can afford to wait and take their shots, take a little extra time to set them up. That's what they've been doing lately. Here come the Crimson Wave, or at least one of them, into a sea of yellow. 3 enemies were right there, so the Saints reclaim possession. Pass is intercepted. We'll see if the Crimson Wave, over the final 25 minutes before halftime, figure out a way to get through this St. Francis defense. I mentioned earlier, not a lot of teams can do that. Here's Mendez. Mendez's shot is deflected and cleared by the Crimson Wave. And once again, Calumet is able to take possession, just not do anything with it. They have not really been able to get to the other side of midfield today, certainly not consistently. Saints are on the move. A lot of dribbling from Roger Valles. He gets the ball back and rolls it off to his right. There's Dylan Frank. Frank rolls it between 2 defenders. Esparza tracks it down in the corner. Esparza looking for the cutter. Deflects it off a defender out of bounds. Corner kick for the Fighting Saints. Antoine Esparza sets it up and sends it flying. Past everybody's head, but played on the back end by Fernandez Arango. There's a shot deflection in front of the net. Second effort is good. And the Saints add to their lead. It's 3-0 as Peter Langenhusen knocks one in from the floor. He was knocked to the ground by a Calumet defender. He was able to pick himself back up and send in the 3rd goal of the night. It's become a blowout early here. 3-0 Fighting Saints. Still not even 22 minutes in. Three goals scored by the Saints are a new season high, which is not saying a whole lot. They also double their season total through their first 8 games. Actually, 7 games. They played 7. So this is their 8th game. They've established a new offensive season high. Calumet fighting right now, but in a very difficult position, already down by 3 goals, knowing they probably need to turn up the offense a little bit, but it's hard to do that without sacrificing defense, and they can't sacrifice their defense right now. It's the one thing that has been consistently working. Rolled into the box, a sliding stop made by Canuto. Passed off to the far sideline. Good run down that sideline. Pushed ahead across midfield. And taken away by the Saints. Off the foot of Valles. It stays in bounds. Calumet now in control, though. Back into the middle of the field for the Fighting Saints. Silva. Headed backwards. Calumet is in control. It's Pinto. Knocked away by Dylan Frank. Good defensive challenge. But his first touch is intercepted. Under 22 minutes to play in the first half. All St. Francis so far. They lead it by 3. That could change on this run from Alan Trejo as his shot sails high and wide to the right. Maybe a little quick on that shot from Trejo, but arguably the best scoring opportunity of the game for the visiting side. It's out of bounds. Calumet will get a throw. So far, it's an improvement from last year for Calumet. Biggest win in school history for St. Francis, 17-1 last year when these two teams played in the final game of the year. Foul called on the visiting side, so everybody marches down the field, and the Fighting Saints will get a free kick. They play it back defensively. Despite losing that 17-1 game last year, Calumet did have a bright spot in that they scored a goal. It was their only goal of the season, and it came in the second half of their last game, so they didn't go home completely empty-handed. But in general, they've been a little bit sharper this year with their new coach, Shane Cloutier. Third college coaching job. He was at Southern Indiana and also in the Chicagoland area at North Park University. First year at Calumet. A lot of freshmen on this roster. It's a very young team. They're figuring it out as they go along, but they've scored 4 goals this year. They've had multiple goals in one game. So offensively, it's been a big step up from last year. And really defensively, they've stepped up as well. But they've got a lot of work still to do. Long ball sent down the sideline as Esparza tries to get it into the middle of the field, but it's lost out of bounds for a goal kick. A long punt across midfield. It skims the head of Frank. He ends up tapping it out of bounds, so a throw in for Calumet. For them, though, they didn't want that ball to go out of bounds. Israel Bautista could have chased that one down. He may have been able to set up something offensively. Still in their possession in the attacking third right now. Knocked out of bounds by Delazé. Will reset everything on a throw-in. Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero steps up, lobs it into the box. Nobody there in dark colors. Easily knocked away by the Saints. Ramirez Guerrero steps up again, trying to keep this attack alive, but it's cleared by the Saints. Sergio Fernandez Arango races the other way. Tries to hook up with Gamino. Gamino was well offsides there. The flag goes up from the opposite end. And we'll get a free kick near midfield for Calumet, trailing 3-0 against St. Francis with 18 minutes to play in the first half. Deflected back by the Saints. Silva pushes it ahead. Valles with 2 defenders, 1 on either side, splits the 2 of them, gets it to Gamino. Gamino, a few defenders in front of him. Good ball work off to the right side. Esparza. Shot deflected by Cesar Madriz towards the back corner and sent way up into the air. Saints track it down. Initial stop from Calumet. We'll see if they can do it again. Esparza turns, fakes the shot, Passes to the outside instead. Towards the net, and a nice scoop by Eduardo Canuto. Samuel Arroyo took the shot, and Canuto was able to leap in. I don't know if that one was on target or not. I think not, but still a good play by Canuto either way. Speed run for the Crimson Wave. Ball knocked loose. Still alive down in the corner. Set up by Nigel Osiasari. Now a shot hits off the post and it rolls in. It skidded past Merlin Vanderveen, hit off the back post, and it hit it at just the right angle to ricochet into the net. Calumet is on the board. A lot of offense in this game. 4 goals already scored. We're not yet a half hour into it. And now it's 3-1. Calumet is ready to fight. Looked like it was going to be a runaway for the Saints, and it might turn out still to be. Who knows? But at least in the short term, Calumet has done a good job of weathering the storm here and getting their first goal of the game in the first half. Saints looking to answer. It's Gamino passing back to Delazé. Delazé had nothing going in front of him, so he passes back instead. Armani Lagunas sets things up. Chipped by Valles in front of the net. Headed away. Good play by Joel Cazares. Vanderveen up near midfield. Able to push it towards the sideline and keep things moving forward for St. Francis. Lagunas passes across field, finds a defender. It's Jack Brown. And Brown reverses field, coming to the near side, and Dylan Frank right back to Brown. Frank to Fernandez Arango on the near side, playing up. Valles right back over to Fernandez Arango. Can't spin by the defender. Ball is sent back towards midfield. Saints back in control of it. Ball sent into the box and knocked out of bounds. It was last touched by St. Francis. So we've got a goal kick here. Three to 1, the Fighting Saints have the lead. They scored their first 2 goals in the span of just about 4 minutes. And then their third, another 8 minutes after that. Trying to add another one right here. Gamino runs into a wall. Last line of defense is able to knock it away from him. Back on the St. Francis defense. A little push from Cal St. Joe's. Free kick, dead center here, 40 yards out for the Fighting Saints. They go short. Fernandez Arango on the near side. Passed back. Across field. Here's Silva. Lagunas' pass is deflected by Osiasari. Throw in. Far sideline. Saints on the prowl again here. Knocked loose into the air. Cleared by Calumet. Back towards midfield, though. Jack Brown is able to reclaim possession. Brown rolls it off to Fernandez Arango. Another opportunity for St. Francis. In the attacking third. In front of the net, it is headed towards the sideline. No chance there for the goal. Kept alive, though, by Mason Morose. And now, off a called deflection by St. Francis, it will be a throw-in for Calumet here. Long throw. Bounces towards midfield stripe. That's where Brown sends it back. Vaya's good move to get around a defender. Takes the shot with the left foot deflected. Never made it anywhere. Ball kept alive by Gamino. Back to Fernandez Arango. He pushes it through to Valles all the way at the end line. Needs some help. Crosses back to Fernandez Arango. Misses off his right foot. Taken away instead by the Calumet defense. Calumet went down 3-0, the drop of a hat, but they've leveled things off since then. Still down by 2 goals, so the Fighting Saints, I think, feel pretty good about where they're at the moment. But Calumet's been able to straighten things after that rough start. Here comes Alan Trejo. Trejo runs in to Dylan Frank and has to pull up. Batista. Cross is intercepted. Easily that time by Samuel Arroyo. Trejo gets it through. Knocked away, stolen by the Saints. Out of bounds. Saints throw with just over 11 minutes to play in the first half. An eventful first half, particularly if you like offense. 4 goals on the board already. There were 4 goals on the board at halftime last Saturday, most recent game that St. Francis has played. But they were all for Olivet. So this is a little bit of a better feeling as Fernandez Arango makes the run, takes the shot, and scores. He makes it 4-1. With 10:43 to play in the first half, another Fighting Saints goal. Great run from Sergio Fernandez Arango, who has his second goal of the season. The offense for the Saints has been impressive so far. 4 goals in just 35 minutes. As I was just saying, there were 4 goals scored against the Saints on Saturday when they took on Olivet Nazarene. So to turn the tables like this, to immediately rebound with 4 goals of their own in a half, has got to feel pretty good. Frank knocks it up into the air, far side of the field. Went back and forth without putting the ball on the ground. Finally controlled by Calumet, bounced ahead. Brown knocks it loose along the far sideline. We're officially under 10 minutes to play in the first half. St. Francis is in control of this one. Launched down the middle of the field, headed back the other way. Guy who got his head on that ball was Cesar Madriz. Not a whole lot of options off the bench for Shane Cloutier. They just don't have very many bodies down there. Back to the goalkeeper. Canuto will pick it up. Or not. You just roll it to the outside. Either way works. Cazares tackled away by Moroz. Nice job by Moroz to not only take possession with that tackle, but then to avoid the same going the other way. Did a good job protecting the ball. Trejo. To his left. Here comes the push. Stalled for the moment. Back at the midfield. Chip shot towards the back post and just over the head of Nigel Osiasari. Crimson Wave come up empty. Goal kick for the Fighting Saints as the clock approaches 8 minutes to play in the first half. Tristan Dean, junior transfer from Joliet Junior College, has just checked in for the Fighting Saints. First touch for him. Pass back to Jack Brown. Silva passes ahead to Valles. On the far side, it's Dylan Frank. Frank pushes ahead. Saints still have plenty of time to be deliberate with their attacks here. It's exactly what they're doing. Back to the defensive end of midfield. Saints start over, but again, they keep possession. Silva. Pass to his right is intercepted by Osi Asari. And on the counter, there's nobody up ahead for Calumet, so an easy stop for the Fighting Saints. Forced ahead. Taken initially by Calumet. Saints back on the run, though. There's a long-range shot. Goes wide to the left. Off the foot of the junior Roger Valles. Just pushed it a little bit wide of the goal. And the score remains 4-1 in favor of St. Francis. Calumet struggled to take possession, but they are able to pull it in. Jose Hernandez passes off to his left. Cross midfield. Turned back a little bit. Jack Brown in the midfield circle. Rolled ahead. A chance for Tristan Dean to touch the ball. Dean tried to get it through. Nice sliding stop made by Cazares. From the corner, Saints try to chase it down but can't. It's the goalkeeper who gets there first instead, Eduardo Canuto. Deep punt taken by Canuto. To the far sideline out of bounds. Osi Asari lobs it in. Calumet was able to get one goal on the board. That made it 3-1 at the time. The Saints have since re-extended their lead to 3. It was 3-0, and now it's 4-1. But ever since that goal, not much going on offensively for Calumet. Trying to step up defensively right now is Benicio Gamino. Gets it back. Around a couple of defenders, working his way into the box. The shot from Brown is saved by Canuto. A good run by Jack Brown. Stepping way up from the defense. He slid his way around a few defenders, just couldn't get past the goalkeeper. Baez steps up a few times, passes around Hernandez, gets it right back from Gamino. There's a shot that's a little bit wide to the left. That would have been number 2 of the day for Sergio Fernandez Arango if he had been able to put that one in. It's a tough shot, tough angle. But he almost pulled it off. Goal scorers today include Sergio Fernandez Arango, Peter Langenhusen, Antoine Esparza and Jonathan Mendez. One man to put the ball in the back of the net for Calumet is Alan Trejo, who became the first player this year for the Crimson Wave with multiple goals. He's got 2 of them. Dean De Silva passes it in tight for Gamino, gets it back outside. Fernandez Arango again trying to make something happen. Nearly did it on his last touch, and he almost does it again here as he sails one wide to the left and out the back line down near the corner. We got a goal kick coming up for the Crimson Wave. They're running out of time to make anything happen in the first half, but very important for them to see that the Fighting Saints don't score one more time. Can keep a comeback possibility somewhat realistic heading into the second stanza. We're down to 2 minutes to play in this opening half. Frank from the sideline. His cross intended for Valles was a little bit too far out in front of him, just past his leg. Deflection kept alive by Calumet. Here's Bautista. Bautista's pass was too far out in front of his intended target. Knocked loose by Dean and setting up Valles on the other end. There's the cross. Bicycle kick goes wide and out of bounds from Sergio Fernandez Arango. Tried to make a nifty play right there. Didn't quite work. That was still kind of nifty. Just didn't result in a goal. Clock continues to run down, though, to just about a minute. So maybe one last chance off this goal kick. Probably last opportunity for Calumet to score. If the Saints are able to take possession, which they do, there's a good possibility they won't give it up the rest of the way. We are under a minute. It is taken away. Good defense from Ricardo Pinto. And now we get a throw in. Down to 35 seconds on the clock. Back and forth. Finds its way back to Dean, and Dean taps it to Vanderveen. It may do it for this first half. We'll see how far Vanderveen pushes it. He goes very short, which means that the Saints are probably just going to let this clock run out. It's at 10 seconds right now. All in all, an excellent first half of play for St. Francis. They're right where they want to be right now. Ahead by 3 goals after 45 minutes of play. 4-1 is our score. It has not really been in doubt since this one started. It's been all St. Francis. We'll see if that continues into the second half in about 15 minutes. Right now, I'll take a break. Our score is 4-1. The Saints on top of the Crimson Wave. Getting ready to start the second half here in Joliet. Our score is St. Francis 4, Calumet 1. A really strong first half played by the Fighting Saints as they opened up an early 3-0 lead before Calumet was able to get on the board, tighten things up a bit, and the Saints added one more heading into halftime. So pretty comfortable advantage for them with 45 minutes to play in this game. They've switched sides. The Saints in control of possession right now, going from left to right. The Crimson Wave are going from right to left. A few stats for you in the first half. The score is self-explanatory. Saints lead by 3. They outshot Calumet 21-6 in the first half. So in complete control in that way. 8 shots on goal compared to just 1 for Calumet. So no saves in the first half for Merlin Vanderveen. The only shot he faced went in. It was a close one. That shot hit off the post and hit it at just the right angle to barely cross the line in the 29th minute for the only goal of the game for Calumet. The Saints had 8 shots on goal, so they scored 4 times, but Eduardo Canudo didn't have a disastrous first half. He did make 4 good saves as well. Saints make an early run towards the line here. Kept in bounds by Mendez. It's off the crossbar. Second chance for St. Francis, deflected in front of the net and into the hands of Eduardo Canudo. What an opportunity right there to make it 5-1. First of all, a great play by Mendez just to keep the ball in bounds. It looked like it was going to go out for a goal kick, but he was able to hover over that line. Nice little cross, setting up a shot that hit off the crossbar. And it ricocheted off that crossbar right back to the Fighting Saints, so another chance to score. And a good defensive play by Calumet. Kept it in front of the net. Did not go through, so it's still 4-1. We've played 2 minutes into the second half. Not a lot of fouls in the first half. 4 of them called on Calumet. None on St. Francis. Those are the stats from the first half. The goals were scored for St. Francis in order by Jonathan Mendez, Antoine Esparza, Pierre Langenhusen, and Sergio Fernandez Arango. So 4 goals, each scored by a different player. Chance for the Saints here. Nice save by Canudo. Bruno Silva was the man who fired that one towards the net. Canudo is able to fall on top of it. The lone goal scored by Calumet St. Joe's came from Alan Trejo. Trejo also took 3 of the Crimson Wave's 4 shots in the first half. So he was far and away the most aggressive offensive player for the Crimson Wave, and he was able to put one through, his second goal of the season. Coming into play today, he had only 2 shots taken all year. Today he's got 3 and 1 goal scored. Pushed across midfield to the far side. I think we're going to get a foul here. Nathan Sharp tried to kick it for St. Francis. His jersey was grabbed. So everybody is pushed downfield a bit as the Saints will get a free kick from the defensive side, just shy of midfield. 4 minutes into the second half. Nobody has scored since halftime, but the Saints are holding on to a comfortable lead. They've more than doubled their scoring output for the season today. They had 3 total goals scored through their first 7 games. And then they scored 4 times in just the first half this evening. Antoine Esparza sends it towards the middle of the field. It bounces into the waiting hands of Eduardo Canudo. Not a shot there from Esparza. At least that's not what he was looking to do. But it did sail past all the Saints and towards the net, so Esparza, or rather Canudo, was able to pick it up. Here's Mendez. He does take a shot. It's deflected doesn't make it to the net, and offsides is the call on Antoine Esparza. So the Saints send it the other way. Calumet takes control of possession. Haven't had it a ton today. Towards the sideline. Kept in bounds. No, it wasn't kept in bounds. It'll be a throw in for the Saints. Dylan Frank tosses it in. Looks up with Mendez along the sideline. Mendez keeps it in bounds, but as he sends it towards the middle of the field, nobody there in yellow. Pushed the other direction by Colton Sullivan, who is originally from Joliet, one of a handful of players from Joliet West High School who have made their way onto the Calumet College of St. Joseph roster, playing in their hometown tonight. Aaron Razzo is in for the Fighting Saints. He rolls it over to Dylan Frank. A lot of subs on the field for St. Francis with a 3-goal lead. I don't know if we'll see the starters come back in for Nigel Dillard. I would imagine it'll depend on whether or not they're able to add to this lead. We haven't seen anybody come in who doesn't play big minutes typically. Nathan Sharp passes off to Merlin Vanderveen and across field to Dylan Frank. Frank gets it ahead to Esparza, right back to Frank. And he goes back to Vanderveen. Saints taking some time off the clock. We're already 6.5 minutes into the second half. So they're moving things along here. Here's Miguel Zavala. Zavala puts a charge into it right down the middle of the field. Deflected over to Gamino, off the foot of Gamino. Taken by Calumet for an instant. Saints get it right back, though. Esparza. Esparza, one dribble into the middle, and a whistle blows. A foul is called. I think we're going to get a yellow card here against Calumet. That's exactly what happened. A yellow card given, it appeared, to Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero. And it's going to be a free kick for the Fighting Saints with 37:53 on the clock. This occurred just outside the penalty area. So it's not a penalty kick, but it is a free kick set up by Benicio Gamino, just 20 yards off the goal, slightly off to the right. We'll see where Gamino goes with this one. Whistle blows. He's ready for the approach. 5 defensive players on a wall in front of him. It's Gamino taking the shot. It's deflected by that wall of defenders, and his follow-up is blocked by that same group. Well defended by Calumet, and now here comes the counterattack. It's Osiasari into the middle of the field and knocked loose by Dean. Now fight between Nigel Osiasari and Razzo, or rather Gamino. Calumet wins the ball, and they keep the possession alive. Still fighting to score their first goal of the second half. They do have a multi-goal game earlier this year, so it wouldn't be the first if they were to score again. They have not scored more than 2 in a game, but neither had the Saints prior to tonight. Trying to make it a 5th goal right here. The shot is deflected before it can reach Canuto. And with the ball loose, Canuto comes in and picks it up. We've seen a lot of deflections like that on St. Francis shots today, so even though they have given up 4 goals, it has not been a bad defensive game for a lot of these Crimson Wave players. A number of them have stepped up and made plays. Whistle blows and a foul is called on Calumet. Antoine Esparza is going to take the free kick. Last time Esparza had the fake and Gamino made the kick. This one's about 12 yards further out and a little closer to the sideline, so not quite as good an angle as they try to score. Esparza makes the approach, takes the kick with the left foot, sends it right in front of the net, looking for the assist rather than the goal, but he's not able to get it as the Saints can't get a shot off. Here come the Crimson Wave. Ricardo Pinto starts the push. Here's Batista. Batista tries to get around Sharp and can't. Sharp is able to take the ball away with a little help on that defensive play as well by Aaron Razzo. Good defense from the Saints. Esparza taps it off to Silva. Bruno Silva makes his way right down the middle of the field and scores the 5th goal of the game for St. Francis. 5-1 they lead on a nice run from Silva as he becomes the 5th Fighting Saint to score a goal in today's game. Correction, I think that was Benicio Gamino. I'm sorry, Silva set up Gamino rather than the other way around. So Benicio Gamino scores the goal, and he becomes the 5th Fighting Saint to get on the scoreboard today. 5 goals from 5 different players. This one in the 55th minute. They scored their first one 10 minutes into the first half. They scored their second one 10 minutes into the second half. A little bit over 35 minutes still to play in this game. For Benicio Gamino, that is the first goal of the season. And Bruno Silva picks up the assist. First point this year for Silva. The first foul of the game, I think, called on St. Francis. Check the stats to confirm that, but first one I remember. 5-1 is our score. Saints on top, and despite the foul, they're able to take possession right back. Here's Razzo. First foul on the Saints after 7 had been called on Calumet prior to it. Zavala ahead for Frank. Gets it around Pinto and keeps it in St. Francis's grasp, going to the far side of the field. Jack Brown gives it up to Zavala. Like that one off the side of the foot of Zavala, but it worked out okay. So the ball found its way to Jonathan Mendez. Saints are not giving it up right now, just playing a little keep away. Haven't made any push towards the net in a while, but Calumet has not been able to take possession away from them. Kept in bounds, or at least an attempt to keep it in bounds by Tristan Dean. It is going Calumet's way, though. Throw in down the far sideline. Right across midfield. Sergio Fernandez Arango over to Antoine Esparza. Tapped out to the outside. Coming along the far side of the field. A shot and a save by Canuto. Another good play by Eduardo Canuto as he turns away Benicio Gamino from the far side. Canuto has given up 5 goals today, but he's been peppered with shots, particularly here in the second half. There have been a number of them that have made it all the way through to him. He continues to save a lot of them. There have just been too many coming his way to keep this game close. 13 shots on goal for the Saints. They're looking for another one right here, and it is, and it's in. Mendez scored the first goal of the game, and Mendez scores again from a tough angle right near that back line. He's able to push it past Canuto and into the side of the net. It's 6-1 St. Francis. This goal coming just 3 minutes after the last one. Jonathan Mendez came into play today without having scored on the season. Today, he's got 2 goals, his first 2. The junior transfer from Joliet Junior College. Makes it a 6-1 game. Saints were in control of it before, but they are in total control right now. Looking to run as much clock as possible and ice this one away. Calumet in desperation mode right now, but they've been here before. They've played in some lopsided games this season. Saints played in their most lopsided game of the season just a few days ago. They fell 8-0 to Olivet Nazarene. Feels good today to be on the opposite side of it. Esparza's ball is deflected out of bounds by Osi Asari. Tristan Dean pushes it ahead for Mendez. Knocked away by Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero. Out of bounds. Jack Brown has 3 defenders around him, so he passes all the way back to the defensive end. And the Saints again can hold on to possession and run some clock at the same time. It's Dylan Frank on the near sideline. Fernandez Arango turns it upfield, pushes it ahead, tapped to the outside, and Esparza. Front of the net, headed away. Cleared by Calumet to the sideline, out of bounds. Another throw for the Fighting Saints. Tossed back to Zavala. Miguel Zavala on the defensive end. Sets up this possession for St. Francis. On the far sideline. Knocked ahead to Samuel Arroyo. Dylan Frank called for it. He receives it in some space on the near sideline. Frank looks to his right, takes it to the left instead. Knocked off his foot by Ricardo Pinto. A good challenge from Pinto. And Calumet is able to seize possession, but only briefly. Jack Brown is there for an interception, and Brown left it a little bit too soft on his touch. Saints nearly lost it, but they do hold on, making a move towards the box. Ball right at the edge of that box, passed off to the right. Set up for Esparza. Esparza turns, takes the shot, it's deflected. And Calumet is able to knock it loose and clear it with a half hour to play in the game. We're 15 minutes into the second half. Saints have extended their 4-1 halftime lead. It's now a 6-1 game. Barring something crazy from Calumet, the Saints are in really good position to come away with their first win of the year. They're trying to add to that lead. Brown passes to his left, deflected out to Esparza. Right back to Jack Brown. A few dribbles to the left, now passing to the outside. Canuto dives on top of that after a shot from the Fighting Saints. Another good play by Eduardo Canuto. The lead for the Saints remains 5, but they grabbed that ball defensively about 2.5 minutes ago. And outside of a couple of strong challenges from Calumet, Saints had that possession for the 2.5 minutes, just passing it back and forth. And when you're up by 5, anytime you could take a minute, let alone 2, off the clock, it was time well spent. They're doing it again, just passing back and forth on the defensive end. Calumet not making any push on offense right now. Tristan Dean has it pushed off of his foot out of bounds. And before the ball is thrown back in, Mason Moroz checks in for the Fighting Saints. Jack Brown is leaving. We saw Mason Moroz in the first half. Gets a little more run here in the second with a 5-goal lead. As Jack Brown exits, which is a rarity for the Fighting Saints. Little push. And a foul is called on Calumet. Alan Trejo. Can't really believe that one. You don't see too many fouls called on the offense. The defender trying to get in position in front of him. Trejo was just trying to clear a little space so he had room to make his run. And that was enough to get the foul called. Here's Razzo. Passing off to his right. Sergio Fernandez Arango dribbles along the sideline. He's got a goal today. Looking for an assist there as he passes off to his left. Over to Moroz on the right side. Moroz finds Mendez. Saints trying to set something up as they pass it back to the midfield. It's Frank. Raza with two defenders in front of him. Tries to hook up with Mendez, and it's pushed away. Trejo got his foot on the ball to knock it loose. There's a man down. It's Hernandez for Calumet, and a trip as Trejo sends Esparza flying to the ground. Foul on Calumet. And a yellow card is given as well. Second yellow card given today to the Crimson Wave. Jose Hernandez is still down for Calumet. He has been for the last 30 seconds or so of play. They were playing around him, waiting for a stoppage before the official halted anything. And Hernandez appears to be okay after a long time on the ground. Clock stopped for the yellow card anyway, even if there hadn't been an injured player. 27:02 still to play in the second half. A 5-goal lead for the Saints and in position to make it a 6-goal game as the ball is positioned dead center for Antoine Esparza, just under 30 yards off the net. The go-ahead is given to Esparza. He takes the kick, and it's punched over the net by Eduardo Canuto. We're going to get a corner kick here for St. Francis. Esparza took the free kick moments ago. Now he's got it set up in the corner for a corner kick. Not sure if that one was on target or not, as Esparza sends it towards the front post, knocked away and back out of bounds. We'll get another corner kick. That free kick, which set up the initial corner kick, it looked like maybe it was going over the net anyway. Canuto just wanted to make sure that he was safe with it. Didn't want to just let it go and run the chance that it would head in for a score. Punched away again and out of bounds. Same spot, same result. Third corner kick in a row for the Fighting Saints. We only had one corner kick all game prior to this run, and now 3 straight with 26 minutes to play. Headed away by Calumet, but still right in front of the net. There's a big scrum, and finally Eduardo Canuto comes away with it. I don't know how it got into his hands. Seemed like every player on the field was standing right in front of the net. The ball ricocheted back and forth a few times, but Canuto was able to fall on top of it. Good play by the goalie. He keeps the deficit at 5 for now. Hernan Medina passes it back, and it's an easy interception off the foot of Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero. Saints in control again. Moroz receives the pass along the sideline, gives it up to the veteran Fernandez Arango. Back to the outside of Moroz. Good deflection from Ricardo Pinto. Crimson Wave, at least for the moment, are able to keep it out of trouble. Here's Dean. Dean taps it off to Esparza. Right back over to Dean. The Saints run it back to the defense and their goalkeeper, Merlin Vanderveen. Vanderveen hasn't had to do much today. He's spent a good portion of the game standing a lot closer to midfield than you'd usually see a goalie, but there haven't been any offensive pushes from Calumet, certainly not in the second half. They still have just the one shot on goal today. That came back in the first half, and it led to their only score of the day. Sub coming on for the Fighting Saints, Logan Wilkins. Coming into play today, Wilkins was one of 3 players on the team who had already scored a goal. Today they've had 5 more. 6 goals scored by 5 players. 36 shots today for the Fighting Saints. Wilkins passes towards Moroz, but it's intercepted by Osi Asari. It's 72 shots on the season coming in. That was through 7 games. They're averaging just about 7 per game. 36 today alone. headed towards the back corner, and it rolls out the sideline. Saints on the push. There's a shot. Well wide to the right. Off the right foot of Aaron Razzo. Didn't get a lot on that one. A wild shot. Sets up a goal kick for Calumet. Nearing the halfway point of this second half. We're at 23 minutes to play in the game. Saints led 4-1 at halftime. Last time these two teams met up, St. Francis won it 17-1 in the finale last year. They haven't lost to the Crimson Wave in almost a decade. There have been some lopsided games in there. They scored 17 last year. They had a game against them 3 years ago in which they scored 12. They may fall just short of those numbers today, but 6 goals is not only their highest total of this season, it doubles up their entire season total coming in. Free kick at midfield, sent on one bounce into the box for Ricardo Pinto. Pinto takes the shot, and it's over the net, out of bounds. Off the goal kick, Vanderveen dribbles it up a little bit before passing off to Esparza. Middle of the field on the defensive end. A couple of defenders going along with Vanderveen to set up positioning. This is Miguel Zavala. Zavala and Nathan Sharp playing a little two-man game right now and finally pushed ahead. Looking for Arroyo, knocked away from him by Osiasari. Madriz towards the near sideline. Pinto. Now Calumet is improving on their passing, holding on to the ball a little bit longer from the defensive side, but as they try to get themselves back into the game, they need more of an offensive push. Can't get it going here. Aaron Razzo takes the ball away from Nigel Osiasari. And it's back into St. Francis territory. Back on the attack. Arroyo is able to avoid Trejo to Esparza on the sideline. Trejo still in pursuit. Saints get it into the middle of the field. Push towards the near side, and offsides is called. Mason Moroz was out a little bit too far in front of the defense. Free kick for Calumet. Trying to avoid an 0-10 start to the season. It's the third conference game of the year for both teams. They each came in with an 0-2 record. As things currently stand, the Saints are the team in position to improve to 1-2. Calumet is on the verge of 0-3. Just 20 minutes to play in the game. Moroz looking to add his name to the score sheet. Awkward first touch, but he keeps it alive. His cross is deflected to the sideline and out of bounds. Tossed into Dylan Frank. Razzo's been active since he entered the game. Passes to the far side, and Dean. Frank taps to his right. It's Arroyo pushing it into the corner. Moroz working one-on-one against Cesar Madriz. And Madriz wins the battle, letting it go out of bounds. Last touch by the Fighting Saints. Goal kick, Calumet. Pierre Langenhusen back on the field for the Saints. Looks like he's in an attacker position right now. So they'll have Langenhusen play a little striker late in the game. Typically a defender. He did score a goal coming up from the back line earlier. Tenacious immediately after coming in, chasing the ball down. Calumet forced to panic a little bit. They do keep the ball alive, though. Haven't been able to do anything with it yet here, but Saints have been hot in pursuit of this ball. Calumet's just trying to keep it in their clutches. To the far side of the field, it's Pinto. Pinto gets it back across the midfield stripe. Passed ahead and intercepted by the Fighting Saints. Logan Wilkins was able to take that ball away. Saints, with their 5-goal lead, are back in position here. Frank passes back to Zavala. Cross field for Sharp. Saints start to make their move forward. It's Esparza lobbing it ahead. A little bit of contact there. As the intended target of that pass, Logan Wilkins tumbles to the ground. He wanted a foul to be called. It wasn't. And so the Saints lose the ball. Calumet got on the board in the 29th minute. It was their first goal scored since the first week of September. The same was true for the Saints when they got on the board. They hadn't scored since September 6th. Calumet hadn't scored since September 5th, and here we are today with 7 total goals on the board. Both teams are coming off of blowout losses. But St. Francis is trying to get back on the horse with a blowout win. It's Frank. Dylan Frank dribbles down the sideline. Frank looking for the cross. Can't quite find it. Trying to get it to Langenhuis there. Two of them not entirely on the same page. And Calumet takes control. Calumet was held to just 1 goal all of last season. It came in their last game of the year, and it came on this field. This year they had already scored 4 coming in, but it had been a while. So I'm sure it felt good for them offensively to get that goal scored late in the first half. However, they've not been able to add on to it. I mentioned before they have scored multiple goals in a game before. They've done it couple of times actually this year. Every time they'd scored prior to tonight, they'd scored at least twice. I guess exactly twice. They only have 4 goals on the season. Moreau's cross is on the backside of the play, a little bit behind everybody, and so Calumet's able to clear it. Calumet has struggled on the defensive end, but offensively, they'd actually, coming into play today, outscored St. Francis. They played a few more games than the Saints have, but 4 goals to 3. They had the edge there. However, coming into play today, they had allowed 59 goals, which is more than twice as many as the Saints have given up. 22 coming into play today, 23 including today. We're under 15 minutes to play in the second half. St. Francis is looking for their first victory since November 2nd of last year, which was the last time they played Calumet. Last game of the season. They were able to close it out with a win, and I think we're going to get a penalty right here called against Calumet. Pierre Langenhuis was taken down as he went on a run after the ball in the box. And the Fighting Saints are going to get a chance to add to their 6-1 lead. 14:32 on the clock. It is stopped on the whistle. And Antoine Esparza is set up for a penalty kick with a chance to give his team a 6-goal lead. Esparza has already scored once today, so this would be his 2nd goal. Langenhuis has been helped to his feet. So he's okay now, and that means that we should be ready to continue. Eduardo Canuto had been up near the ball, but now he heads back into the net, ready to face this penalty kick. Shot coming from Esparza, looking for his second goal of the night, and a 6-goal St. Francis lead. Esparza takes the shot and scores. 7-1, Fighting Saints. Antoine Esparza scores for the second time today. For St. Francis, it is the second time this year that they have scored on a penalty kick. In the 76th minute, he becomes the second Saint with 2 goals tonight. Jonathan Mendez is the other. Mendez scored the first goal of the game and scored again earlier this half. Antoine Esparza scored the second goal of the game, and he scores the 7th. So we seem to be going in order. That would mean Pierre Langenhuizen would be due up next. He is playing the forward position today, which he doesn't typically. But it's his turn to score. He's in a good place to do it from. And he's out in front of the pack right now as Esparza gets the steal. Esparza looking in front of him. Tries to dribble around the defender. Takes the shot. It hits off the post and trickles out of bounds. So Esparza trying to make something happen by himself right there. Comes up a little bit short after he had the steal. Couldn't finish it with the shot. Clock is stopped at 13:47 as the Saints make a few substitutions. Kick is sent away from the keeper Canuto. Ricocheted back the other way. Here come the Fighting Saints. It's Moroz. Mason Moroz into the box. There's the cross. Taken away. Calumet looking to counter, but Osiasari has it knocked loose by Moroz. Good defense from Mason Moroz, who's been more of an offensive player throughout this game. Forced to the other side of the ball, and he makes the most of it. Good challenge from him. Zavala passes it across to Esparza. Big game today for Antoine Esparza, sophomore out of Romeoville, just down the street from here, a little bit north of Joliet. To the back line, kept in bounds. Arroyo tried to race up to get a shot off there, but there were 2 Calumet defenders who were able to get to the ball first. Cleared by Colton Sullivan. Saints start to push again. Another run right up the middle of the field. Shot from Arroyo deflected by Madriz and out of bounds. We'll get a corner kick. Good chance there from Arroyo, but a really nice play by Madriz. Saints play the corner really quickly, and a third goal of the game goes through for Antoine Esparza. Saints add to their lead. It's 8-1. Esparza's got himself a hat trick. And this goal scores just a couple minutes after his last one. It seemed like St. Francis caught everybody napping there. They got the corner kick, and rather than set it up as usual, they ended up just going lightning fast before anybody from either side was able to get set. Just over 12 minutes to play in the game. Huge lead now for the Fighting Saints, and trying to add to it even further. It's Langenhuizen. It was his turn to score. Esparza went out of order. Moroz across the net and out of bounds. Goal kick coming. I mean, it's fine. The score is 8-1 regardless of who scored it. Just if you're a fan of patterns, as I apparently am, we've got to start a new one here. Goal kick taken and immediately intercepted by the Saints. Here's Wilkins. Wilkins going side to side. Rolls it over to Eric Guzman, who just checked in. First time we've seen Guzman today, just a couple of minutes ago. This is Guzman in possession of the ball. Rolled back to Zavala. Nathan Sharp in the midfield circle. Not picked up by anybody, so he has a lot of green space to just dribble through. Passed ahead. Man goes down for Calumet. I think that was Giovanni Ramirez Guerrero who hit the deck. Got the foul call in the process. Ramirez Guerrero hopping up and down a little bit. A little bit ginger, but he seems to be okay. Alan Trejo positions himself behind the ball to take the free kick. 8-1, St. Francis has the lead. They were up 4-1 at halftime. They've been able to double their output, while Calumet hasn't been able to score since their first half goal, which came from Alan Trejo. Madriz to Hernandez, passed back towards the box. Trejo protects it from a few oncoming attackers. Madriz tapped to Osiasari. Osiasari can't get around Moroz. Good play by Mason Moroz defensively to take it away. It is knocked out of bounds as Hernandez is able to step in, take it off of his foot, throw in for the Fighting Saints. We reach single digits minute-wise on the clock, under 10 to play. Out of bounds, that was off the Fighting Saints. Back to the drawing board, one would think for Calumet, as they will enter October. It appears with an 0-10 record, and they'll have a tough one in store for them next time around. This Saturday, they go to Olivet Nazarene. So it's not going to get easier for them. Pushed ahead by Pierre Langenhusen. Langenhusen is out in front of Trejo, who gives him a shove to the ground. And for the second time in the last couple of minutes, Pierre Langenhusen is pushed from behind. That time a few minutes ago, he got the penalty called, and the Saints scored on a PK. This time, they just call it out of bounds on Calumet. Corner kick for Esparza. Saints also scored recently on a corner kick, and they do it again here. Headed towards the sideline, knocked loose by Calumet. They're able to dodge that one. Max Sullivan pushes it the other way. Arroyo tries to get it through into the box. Cross to Pierre Langenhusen, who scores for the second time tonight. Second goal of the game from Pierre Langenhusen. His first two goals of the year. He is the third Fighting Saint to find the scoreboard for at least a second time. 82nd minute, and the Saints are scoring at will now. That's their third goal in the last 6.5 minutes. Langenhusen gets the goal. Mason Moroz playing on the far side was able to come up with the assist, and that is his first assist this year. The overall season statistics are starting to perk up for St. Francis. Coming into play today, just 3 total goals. They had nobody on the team with more than 2 points. That has not been the case today. They've added 9 goals to their season total, so now 12 goals scored in 8 games, a very respectable total. 1.5 per game. Even though they've played 8 games and been shut out 5 times. Their overall numbers are not half bad. And for St. Francis, the hope is that this lights something underneath them. They're able to carry it forward as another shot. Doesn't quite make it to the net this time. Doesn't matter how it happens. Sometimes you start to play better, and that begets more strong play. Sometimes you just need to see the ball go in the back of the net a few times. And that confidence starts to spike, and the overall quality of play starts to spike as well as it's sent out of bounds. Goal kick coming up. They went 3 straight games without scoring. So now to get 9 on the board, we'll see if there is any carryover when they host Governor's State on Saturday afternoon. Part of a doubleheader on Saturday with the women's soccer team as well. Not too many of those this year, but there's one coming up on Saturday right here at Joliet Memorial Stadium. Saints came in 0-2 in conference play, but this puts them in position now to maybe go on a roll. We'll see if it works out that way. Just over 6 minutes still to play. Here's Zavala. Passing off to his left, and Razzo. You never know what to expect from any opponent, but at least by record is Langenhusen heads this one over the net and out of bounds. By record, Governor State's another team that has struggled to get rolling. Their only win in conference play so far this year came against Calumet. It was a 6-0 win for them. That was one of only 2 wins all season for them. Finished their game against Judson tonight in a 0-0 draw. So the Saints will be heading into that game with a little bit more momentum than the Jaguars do. Foul called here on the Fighting Saints. It'll set up for a free kick for Calumet with 5 minutes to play. You know, you don't look past anybody based on their record, but it's a winnable game for the Fighting Saints on Saturday. And, you know, the Governor State's saying the same thing. They're looking at a St. Francis team that didn't have a win coming into tonight. Van der Veen is able to catch that free kick on the fly. Came in from midfield. It's not a spot you would typically see a shot from. That one might have just gotten away from him a little bit. Saints back in possession. That's 3:30 on Saturday. That's the next game for the Saints. And Calumet takes on Olivet Nazarene in their next one. That'll be the October opener for both teams. The month of September. First full month of collegiate soccer wraps up today. Season did open in August, but it's not a full August schedule. October is the final full month of the season and the only full month of conference play from start to finish. Should they qualify, the conference tournament would be played in early November. Whistle blows. We're going to get a foul called on Wilkins. Logan Wilkins off of the St. Francis bench. Gives possession back to Calumet. Five to nothing. St. Francis has outscored Calumet in this second half. Those 5 goals were scored in the span of 27 minutes. Looking for another one right here, and they've got it. Just out of the reach of the diving Eduardo Canuto. It looked like Samuel Arroyo, who scores his first goal of the year. And his first goal of the game, becoming the 6th player to etch his name on the scoreboard. 3 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. The Saints have now scored 6 goals over the last 32 minutes. And Calumet's ready to put this one to bed right now. Trying to run these final 3 minutes off the clock. A 9-goal lead now for St. Francis. Down the sideline, kept inbound. Saints in possession. looking to add one more. 2 goals today for Jonathan Mendez. Antoine Esparza has 3. Pierre Langenhusen has 2. Sergio Fernandez Arango has 1. Benicio Gamino scored 1. And now Samuel Arroyo as well on the scoreboard for St. Francis. As I said, really filling the stat sheet today. It's going to be a lot more interesting to look at on Saturday when they take on Governor State. A lot more people with goals, a lot more people with assists. Points galore. Mentioned before, there was nobody with more than 2 points on the entire team coming into play today. Well, in today's game alone, there's another shot. Canuto gets the save. On the rebound, that goes through. And a whistle blows. We got an offsides call against St. Francis, so that would be 11th goal. Won't count. A rocket shot and a good save by Eduardo Canuto, but no goal. As I was saying, nobody had more than 2 points on the entire roster coming into today. Well, today, Antoine Esparza's got 6 all by himself. 4 for Langenhusen. 4 for Mendez. 2 for Silva. Here's a run into the box. Moroz takes the shot, and that's wide and out of bounds. That'll be a goal kick, and that might do it for St. Francis. We're coming down to the final minute. So I'm not sure the Saints will have another run in them. 3 points today for Samuel Arroyo after that last goal. 3 points today for Benicio Gamino. All today. Again, this from a team that didn't have anybody with more than 2 coming in. So today was a good one for St. Francis. Might be an understatement, but it really set a lot of things right, and now we'll see if they can stay on that positive track against Governor State this weekend. Final half minute of play coming up. Free kick for Calumet. They'll just run as much time as they can here. Try to put an end to this game. They were in it in the first half. Even at halftime, it was a 4-1 game. So it was not close necessarily, but it didn't feel insurmountable. And it got that way pretty quickly here in the second half. Saints will let the clock run down here as they send it back to Merlin Vanderveen. Vanderveen takes one final kick for good measure, and that puts a capper on this one. Our final score, St. Francis 10, Calumet College of St. Joseph 1. A dominant performance for the Fighting Saints, particularly in the second half. They outscore the Crimson Wave 6-0 after halftime. Really strong outing today for the Fighting Saints as they pick up their first victory of the season, improving to 1-6-1. Calumet takes the loss and falls to 0-10. I won't give you a full scoring recap because that would take too long, but we'll say that Jonathan Mendez started the scoring in the 10th minute. That was the first of 2 goals for him. Jonathan Esparza followed with the next goal. He scored 3 times tonight. Pierre Langenhusen scored his first goal of the season in the 22nd minute. He ended up scoring twice in the game. Sergio Fernandez Arango added to his season total. He already had 1 coming in. Now 2 goals after he scored to wrap up the scoring in the first half. In the second half, Benicio Gamino scored his first goal of the season. And then the last one of the day was scored by Samuel Arroyo. He had an assist tonight as well. So 3 points for him in the victory. Some of the final totals, the Saints outshot the Crimson Wave 47-7. Shots on goal were 21-2. Fouls ended up pretty even, 10-8. Calumet committed the 10, St. Francis the 8. 11 saves made today by Eduardo Canuto. Merlin Vanderveen made 1 as he faced 2 shots on goal. We got our final score today is 10-1 in favor of the Fighting Saints. They improved to 1-6-1 on the season. They're back at it on Saturday against Governor State right here at Joliet Memorial Stadium. That'll do it for today's broadcast as the Saints come away with a big victory. 1-2 now in conference play this year. Until next time, it's Terry Bonadonna here signing off for the Fighting Saints from Joliet, Illinois. Enjoy the rest of your night.